We want to compare 231 and 85. We start with the leftmost place value, and we want to think of the number 85 as technically having a 0 in the hundreds place. And so that's important. It might be good to go ahead and add those zeros to make them have the same number of digits to make them easier to compare. So we actually don't need to even look at the tens place or the ones place if the hundreds place is different, and it is in this case, right? So 231, you can see that we've got 2 flats, 3 rods, and 1 unit, versus 85 has 0 flats, 8 rods, and 5 units. But I don't even need to worry about comparing the rods and the units, because if the flats of one of these is more than the flats in the other, that's enough, right? Because flats are the biggest. So 231 has 2 flats, right? Versus 85 has none, has 0 flats. So I don't even need to compare the rods and the units because I already know that 231 is the bigger number because it has more flats. So I would put a greater than symbol there. So then if we look at the next one, we're comparing 56 and 74, and we can see that 74 has more rods than 56. So these are both 2-digit numbers, so I wouldn't be looking at the hundreds place. So I would start the leftmost that they both have, or the leftmost for whichever one is bigger, right? Whichever one has more digits. And so you can see that 74 has 7 rods versus 56 only has 5. So that means 56 is actually the smaller since 74 is bigger. So we'll put a less than symbol there. So if we're comparing 102 with 120, we would again start with, they both have 3 digits, so we would start with the hundreds place. And so you can see that 102 has 1 flat, 120 also has 1 flat. So because they're the same, then is when I would go ahead and move to the next place value over. So because they have the same number of hundreds, I would now compare the tens. And so that's the rods. We can see that 120 has more rods, but really has any rods, right? So 120 has 2 rods. 102 does not have any rods. So 102 doesn't have any, right? I wouldn't even look at that if they had a different number of flats, if they had a different number in the hundreds place. But because they have the same number in the hundreds place, that's why I'm looking at the tens place. So in this case, we would put a less than symbol since 120 has the rods that 102 does not.